IVM.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 39 of the Fighting G.O.A.T. My name is Arjun, aka Mystic Chips, joined by Somesh, Kamra. We've got a lot of exciting stuff happening this week. Lots of news from the world of mixed martial arts. Jon Jones and Henry Cejudo together. Miesha Tate came back, not as well as she wanted to, but still she came back. That being said, and a lot more in the world of boxing, MMA, Masti, Tamasha, Maza, and all of our nonsense in our second segment where we're going to be talking about the greatest headliners. But all that and more after this quick commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey everybody, it's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Cyrus Says, author Shrabani Basu joins Cyrus. They discuss her latest book, The Mystery of the Parsi Lawyer, Arthur Conan Doyle, George Idalji, and The Case of the Foreigner in the English Village. We have another new show launching this week, Wars and Warriors, narrated by Air Vice Marshal Arjun Subramaniam. We're launching this podcast to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the India-Pakistan War of 1971. The podcast is on wars and conflicts in the history of independent India. Tune in to hear some of the fiercest battles that our men and women at the borders have had to brave through. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth shares the concepts of top-down camp and bottom-up camp. These are different approaches to incorporate changes in one's lifestyle. On Tere Mere Raste, Keshav takes us to the nursery of temples, Aihole and Patatakal, the spiritual and religious center of the erstwhile Chalukya Empire. And on Marathi Kirkitun, Dr. Rajiv and Manik Deshmukh, Dr. Preeti Pottar, they discuss her contribution to audio-visual media. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, do check out our various YouTube channels. You can catch them on IVM Podcast/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week, Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quota, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Flay Coffee, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome back to the Fighting G.O.A.T. This is Arjun, aka Mystic Chips, along with the Superhuman Kamra. Bolo,
namaste, mere dost,
namaste,
mere
bhai. Namaste.
How are you? That was such a fantastic introduction. I didn't even feel like talking in the middle.
क्या बोल some benefit has to be there of being a broadcaster, no? इतना 8 साल से boxing opening कर रहा हूँ मैं, थोड़ा सा तो कुछ फर्क पड़ना चाहिए.
Absolutely. What's happening, buddy? What's happening? How was it? And after a very, very long time, we're having a 1 week off from the UFC. There's nothing happening this coming weekend.
There is nothing happening this weekend.
Exactly. You're right. So this weekend we're gonna party.
Oh yeah, this weekend we can party. Otherwise, we're normally very, very busy. We're in the studio. We're doing Sunni work. We've got lots of other stuff to do. But this weekend is thoda sa chutti. Can you imagine? This has been such a stellar year in the world of MMA,
right?
And headlined by, of course, the UFC, because we've not had. I think we've had maybe 2 or 3 weeks off since March or since May of 2020.
Absolutely. I think it's about just 2 weekends have been off, which means they're putting on almost 50 events in a year, which means 52 weeks in a year, and they're putting up 50 events. Man, that's crazy. It's crazy.
And the amazing thing is that I think it's one of the only sports companies that have not laid off anybody, that have not cut anybody's money.
Yes.
And I think that's just an incredible feat within itself. Huh?
Absolutely.
It's just something to be said about that.
Absolutely. In fact, the organization has been so committed towards developing the sport and keeping their staff together. They've not only kept everyone, they're also having expansion plans for the UFC Performance Institute.
Yes, hopefully you should see one coming up in our Angan, Piche Baju, somewhere here. I think the Performance Institute should be open in Kurla. I think it really should. I think there's a lot of talent there. I'm kidding. Please don't, UFC, don't listen to us. Obviously they don't, but still.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. But it's been beautiful. It's been an absolute fantastic year for the UFC and for the sport. Lots been happening.
Yeah, dude. But before we get into the actual week that was in terms of the fights, there's been you all heard about Jon Jones being thrown out of his gym at Jackson Wink, and he was looking for a gym to partner with, and now he's found a home with Henry Cejudo.
Exactly.
Olympic gold medalist wrestler and two-time, two-division champion. Sorry, not two-time, two-division champion.
Yeah.
Triple C, the man himself,
Yes.
has taken in. And now that camp will have guys like Zhang Weili, Henry Cejudo, Jon Jones. And Jon Jones' entrance there, what a difference it's going to make.
In fact, it's so funny because Coach Eric, I think, is not more than 5'3". And Jon Jones is 6'4", coming in at 240 odd pounds. I think that's going to be a very, very interesting setup. Like when there's that moment between the rounds. When Jon Jones is sitting on the stool, I think Eric is going to be shorter than him. Yeah, I think Coach Eric is going to be shorter than him, even though he'll be standing.
Even Henry Cejudo would be shorter than him. Henry is tiny. Henry was small for flyweight. He looked small for flyweight, and he still kicked ass, dude.
But it's so good to see that most of these top athletes are getting into camps which are more personalized, and they're not going to these big AKAs or ATTs or Jackson Wink, because maybe they just need that personalized attention. And after a while, when you become an elite athlete, you just need that sharpening tools for a particular fight. You don't really need to be coached. It's just about understanding mindset and going in there and just sharpening, tweaking a little bit of aspect here and there.
It's true.
Having said that, I was under the impression that Jon Jones is going to Greg Jackson's personal gym, is what I'd heard last.
Really?
But yeah.
Or maybe, he's doing what a GSP did. He came to Greg only for his game plan, and then
correct.
GSP went to, Firas Zahabi, and he went elsewhere for his training. He did his gymnastics with somebody else. He did his Muay Thai with Phil Nurse. He did Firas Zahabi, sharpened up his wrestling and his other skills.
Right.
So, maybe we might see the start of, maybe Jon Jones doing something like that might just make him even. I mean, he's already so lethal.
Yeah.
He's already so good. If you look at, I can't even find a hole. The only hole I could have said maybe in the last couple of years but that also comes from, it comes from the competition catching up with the champion.
Right.
It's if tomorrow, when guys used to finish fights, Silva used to finish fights in a minute and a half. Yeah. There's not enough tape on the fighter to watch, to study.
Correct.
Whereas Jon has now gone decision after decision after decision. The reason why they're getting closer and closer is because fighters are catching up.
Absolutely.
That gap is getting close now.
And speaking of decision after decision, after a very long time, we have seen a card which has got all decisions from prelims till the main card except for one. So, Chips, it's such a contrast. Last week, we had all finishes except for one or two. This week, there are all decisions except for one.
Well, that happens, man.
Imagine having a card from the prelim, from the first fight to the last fight, all decisions.
But it's sometimes, even as diehard fans, it becomes a little difficult at 2:30 in the morning. Yeah. A lot of people, though it takes time, it's a lot of people who come and get involved into the sport, who watch the sport as fans. You don't watch, okay, cricket is a bad example because people used to, even when we were kids, I enjoyed watching test match.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that was incredible. But if you want a fan who doesn't know anything about the sport, you won't show him a test match.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
You'll show him a T20. You'll show him a one-day international.
Correct.
You show him something like that. But you're not showing him a 5-day game.
Absolutely.
That's the equivalent of a 5-round finish. It's 5-round not finish. Sorry, 5-round decision. And it's not like Holloway versus Qatar, which was just mental.
Yes. Oh my God. That was
Holloway versus, it's so funny. We've been talking about this, and Somesh and I decided to talk. We always talk about, the best shows that we've seen.
Yeah.
And we've got actually, our second segment is going to be all about the best headliners. And the best cards that have happened in the last 10 years odd.
I'm so excited.
Over the top of my head, there are going to be some fun topics to talk about. But let's talk about what happened between Ketlen Vieira and Miesha Tate.
Oh man, it was such a good fight card, and as I said earlier, there were all decisions from the first fight where Adrian Yanez was fighting Davy Grant, all the way to the main event where Ketlen Vieira defeated Miesha Tate. There were all decisions except for the Santos fight, Tyler Santos versus Jojo Calderwood, which was a finish. But having said that, Rani Yaya, who's got 13 wins in the bantamweight division in the UFC, is top there. Sean Brady,
That bantamweight division is just mental now.
It's crazy. It's
I
crazy.
think it's the thickest division. I mean, it's surpassed lightweight and featherweight.
Absolutely.
It's become too strong.
Absolutely.
I mean, if Barboza is top 12 now, so what can you say?
Exactly.
Barboza is in the top 10.
And Jose Aldo is there.
And there's also guys like Giga Chikadze hanging around along with Jan and Sterling.
Chito Vera.
And Chito Vera and of course your one and only favorite fighter in the world.
Oh, my favorite, Sean O'Malley.
Sugar
Sean O'Malley.
Sugar Sean. and it's got, I think Dominic is in the same division.
Dominic is in the same division.
Dominic Cruz is in the same division. You've got, geez, I can't even think. You've got TJ Dillashaw in that division.
Yeah, Corey Sandhagen is there.
Corey Sandhagen. I can't think all these guys deserve to be in the top 5.
like all these 10 guys deserve to be in the top 5.
Exactly. All these 10 guys deserve to be in the top 5.
That's crazy.
Such a stacked division.
But speaking of bantamweight division, the main event of the evening between Katlyn Vieira and Miesha Tate was in the bantamweight division, where Miesha Tate, coming off a 4-year layoff, had a great first return fight where she won. And this was her second
against
fight.
Marion Renault, I think.
Against Marion Renault, who announced her retirement. And Miesha Tate was coming back for the belt, but Katlyn Vieira stopped the train.
I see. The thing is, sometimes, it's always, people say styles make fights, etc., etc. And we saw Miesha Tate look very good against Marion Renault, who was also a very much older fighter and was on her way out. But Katlyn Vieira is young. She's very much in the mix. And we saw the difference in that fight. And honestly, I mean, I don't know disrespect to, Miesha Tate. She's been working very hard on her striking. She's been working hard on everything. Right. But if Katlyn Vieira can do that to Miesha Tate on the feet, what will the champ do?
Well, see, I have a different take on this because Miesha Tate is coming off a 4-year layoff. Yes, the first fight was pretty much a setup fight, and we knew, 99% is going to go.
Yeah, barring some miracle from, barring some horrible mistake where Miesha just gives up her neck or something.
Yes, but I personally feel this loss is going to be good for Miesha Tate because she's going to come back a revised fighter and she's going to go for the kill. So, how we see that every fighter, every champion needs that one loss to reignite the fire. I think that's very important.
See, the thing is, she quit in 2015 or 2016 against Raquel Pellington.
2016 or 17?
2016, I think 2016. Yeah. She retired after her loss to Raquel Pellington.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying is that there's, you say this, you see a lot of coaches, you see a lot of, especially a lot of Brazilian fighters, that come in with that striking pedigree. Like you see that striking coming. You look at Chito Vera, it's fluid. You can't teach that kind of. I mean, that striking just comes naturally.
Yes.
Whereas you see some you see just like, for example, look at Andrade. You see her striking.
Yes.
It's fluid. It's fluid the way she moves. Joanna, it's fluid the way she moves. Valentina, it's fluid the way she moves.
Yes.
Amanda Nunez, it's super fluid the way she moves. And even Holly Holm, like I think, in the first match against Holly Holm, where Miesha won the belt.
Yeah, with the rear naked choke,
But she was losing for 4.5 rounds.
Yeah.
Before that rear naked choke happened. And she shut out the champ. And I'm just thinking is that I think against, Miesha, we all rooting for her. She's a fantastic fighter. She wore the UFC belt. She got that gold.
Yes.
Just like Michael Bisping, who was chasing it forever and he gets the gold. Miesha was chasing it forever. She got the gold. But honestly, do I think she can hang with the top 3? I don't think so.
Very, very interesting analysis. Of now.
If she goes and takes on Andrade has got defensive wrestling and has got very heavy hands.
Yes.
Very, very heavy hands. Amanda Nunez, you can't even talk about her.
She's not in the mix right now because she's way up there. Yeah, she's
a champ. Even if you look at the entire slow contenders in the middle, there's a lot new that has come in now.
Yes.
There are a lot of guys and a lot of these girls can strike very well. So
very true.
Tell me something now. That's why I'm saying at the age, I don't know. Miesha is what, 35 now?
No, I think she's younger than that, if I'm not mistaken. I think she's a little younger than that.
Yeah, but I think, sometimes that 4-year layoff, if you don't come in with that pedigree, GSP took a 4-year layoff, but GSP was a Kyokushin karate black belt. Yes. He had that striking. He was fluid already. I don't think you can suddenly develop incredible striking skills overnight.
True.
Maybe if she really puts her mind and dedicates, and Miesha is the kind of person who will do that probably.
I personally feel this loss is going to work for her. I mean, she's coming in with that name and the former champ and all of that. She won the first fight. I think this loss was very much needed for her to know that, listen, I need to up my game then just to up my game. So
I think so. I think Vieira is a tough opponent, but there are much challenges coming than that.
Absolutely.
And then Miesha to get chewed apart on the feet that easily. Her face was a mess too.
Yeah, but typically what happens in this case is that Katlyn Vieira is pretty much up there. She has been fighting. She's in the mix. Yeah, and when you're fighting, when you're fighting somebody like Miesha Tate, you come in with that firepower that, yes, I want to beat a name. It's almost like coming in and beating an Aldo. So, even though Aldo didn't take a long layoff, but it's almost like beating Aldo because that's a name that you want to beat,
Now it remains to be seen what Miesha plans to do. I mean,
absolutely.
She won one, she's lost one after her layoff, she's won one now. Let's see what happens. We wish her nothing but the best of luck. But I think, she needs to figure something out because that top 5 is a shark tank.
Absolutely. And speaking of top 5,
bantamweight.
Speaking of top 5, we are going to be speaking about our top main events of the evening. More and more Masti and Dhamaka after this short break. But ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned and we will be right back after this short commercial break.
Are you looking for finance products and services that can enhance your personal finance experience? Are you looking for a space to talk about your financial product or service? And are you looking for a crisp talk show where the conversation is all about money? Well, your search ends here. Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta and I'm host of the Paisa Vaisa podcast, and I invite you for the conversation about your personal finance on each Monday on the IVM Podcast app or the website or on any podcast streaming platforms. See you folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Fighting G.O.A.T. All this content live only exclusively on ivmpodcast.com. You can check us out on Spotify. You can check us out on Ghana. You can check us out on Apple. You can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out in the Angan outside. You can just scream our names outside. You'll hear us eventually. आवाज है ही जोर से बात करते हैं हमारी आवाज आपको सुनाई दी. I've been working on my Hindi a little bit, by the way.
It is beautiful. It's smooth, but of course, you know what?
From what I called Raquel Pennington 2 years ago, live on the broadcast, we had to cancel it because I called her Raquel.
Well, जो दिल में है वो जुबान पे है आपके.
And literally, जो दिल पे है is some of the, before we got into our roles of becoming analysts and commentators and doing our own show on Sony and all the other stuff, we are always fans first. And
absolutely.
We've always talked about which have been the marquee events that left the headline fights, which have left a mark on us.
Right.
So it's going to be very, very difficult to do this, Somesh, but we're going to just rattle it out. I'm just going to rattle out my top 5 in the world.
We are going to have some overlaps. I'm so sure.
Oh, I guarantee. I guarantee.
When we spoke about this since last time, I've been thinking that there are just so many fights which are the top 5 main events. And of course, it's not just about
this is
fights.
Part 1, by the way. This is part 1 of many. This is part 1 of many because it's not going to finish, dude.
You can't throw in these surprise elements. Like, come on.
Yeah, part 1 of many. It's called the twist. This is called the what if ending.
I'm beginning to believe I'm playing some Takeshi's Castle out here.
Takeshi's Castle. I've still not figured what that is.
So, yeah.
Let's start now. But top 5, okay? I'm going to lead with my top 5th pick.
Please go. Let's shoot.
I think one of the biggest, most iconic main events that I saw.
Okay, was time out. On what basis are we doing this? So
can't do on basis. It's just
is it pay-per-view? Is it great matchups? Is it I don't know, rivalries? Okay, bad blood?
No, nothing like that. No, just the top headliners that you've seen. That's all.
Okay, done. Let's go.
Top headliners. So for me, I think one of the biggest headliners for me, which actually got me into the sport, got me into the UFC, was watching the Ultimate Fighter finale, Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture duke it out.
Oh my God.
After Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner.
Oh my God. That is such a wild pick because it was way back.
That's what I'm saying.
2003, 2004, and that
there are
era.
So many like this.
And the best part is Sony is airing that season right now on Sony 10.
I know. I got to check it out. Is it on Live? I got to check it out. It's on Live.
Yeah, it's going to be on Live. And it's so iconic that 17 years later, it still has relevance. People still watch it. They still get pumped because even those 16 fighters, they were all maniacs out there.
I mean, if you look at that lineup, those guys are today's UFC vets.
Absolutely.
These guys, poured their blood, sweat, and tears. The sport, what it is. Josh Koscheck, Chris Lieben, Forrest Griffin, Stephen Bonner, Diego Sanchez, Kenny Florian. I mean,
oh God, who was not there? Who was not
there? I mean,
all superstars.
So that's my number 5th pick. What's yours, Mr. Kamra?
So my first pick would be UFC 139 way back.
I know what you're talking about.
In 2011 with Dan Henderson taking on Shogun Rua. Because that main event was built up with so much hype, so much bad blood, so much upar niche happening. And man, what a war it was.
It was, dude. I mean, that fight, it led to becoming one of the best trilogies.
Yes.
In fact, later on. And I remember Hendo versus, it wasn't a very particularly major card.
Yeah.
But that fight turned out to be, arguably one of the best fights in the history of the promotion.
Absolutely.
Between two legends who had never faced off against each other.
Right.
Even though they came from the same, their career trajectories were the same.
Yes.
They came from Pride and they both had not faced off each other. And then finally, bang, some XYZ years later, they faced off against each other.
So that is my number 5, UFC 139, 2011, Dan Henderson versus Mauricio Shogun Rua.
All right. My number 4 pick. Now, I don't know the dates. Mr. Kamra is the historian. But I just know the fights. On number 4, one of my biggest headliners, I remember, was when Jon Jones took on Shogun Rua.
Oh my
for the
God.
title.
Where he was 21 years old.
When he was 21 years old, Jon Jones won the belt from Mauricio Shogun Rua via 4th round TKO.
Right.
It was that fight should have stopped in the 2nd round because of the battering he put on the former champion.
Those elbows and all that.
Was,
oh God.
It was those brutal elbows, those spinning elbows. Makes me miss the vintage Jones, but he became, that's how when you fight when you have nothing to lose versus when you fight where you have everything to lose.
Right.
That's what happens. Not everybody can be Anderson Silva and put on a show every time. Who is also on this list? Don't worry.
Absolutely.
So Jon Jones versus Shogun Rua for the belt was my pick.
Oh man, that was such a legendary fight. If you ask me, when we speak of legendary fights, nothing can take away UFC 199, which was in 2016. The original main event was Luke Rockhold versus Chris Weidman for the middleweight belt. And Chris Weidman pulled out and Michael Bisping stepped in. Where he beat Luke Rockhold to become
this is the rematch. Correct.
Yeah, to become the middleweight champion. I think that was one of the most iconic moments because, X pulls out, the replacement fighter steps in on a short notice and he beats Luke Rockhold.
And not just replacement, like Luke was cocky about it, saying that, I've already beaten you before.
Absolutely. And man, that was such a turning point in the career of Michael Bisping because he became an overnight hero. He was always great, but he was not great. He was never a championship belt holder. But on this case, that left hook changed everything about Michael Bisping. He was, unbeatable. Of course,
he was.
He
looked good. It was a very short-lived title reign. He defended his belt against Dan Henderson once, I think. And after that, he lost his belt.
Yes, he did.
To GSP. And after which, Michael Bisping retired and became the awesome broadcaster that we know now.
Yes.
So your number 4 pick?
Yes.
Well, my number 3, well, get ready for everybody's jaws to drop, is UFC 196, where Nate Diaz shocked the world by submitting Conor McGregor.
Oh, God. That is such a
That was not even the main event. That was not even the main event.
Yeah.
That was not even the main event.
It wasn't.
That was still, but that was a hell of a headline. I think the main event I don't remember what the main event was.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the main event was, but that was one of the best, one of those kind of matches that should have been a headliner, honestly.
Absolutely. I think the main event for that one was Amanda Nunez versus.
I am not sure. I will have to check 196.
It was.
We'll find out and tell you.
It was Nunez versus Shevchenko.
Oh my God, that was also great. That's also a great fight.
It was.
That's also a great fight. I mean, I'll put it up there. But Conor, when Conor came in, he was coming in on such a streak. He was supposed to take on Rafael dos Anjos for the UFC lightweight belt.
Yes.
And I think RDA pulled out and Nate took that fight on 11 days notice.
Yes.
And came out to shock the freaking world.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was, what fights are being mentioned right now. Like Nate's stock value just rose so drastically after that fight that he was picking and choosing his fights. Yeah, we all know the Diaz brothers are absolute gangsters and they go ahead and they put up a show for everyone. But, they need that pivot. They need that momentum towards him. And you're absolutely spot on because this particular fight got the momentum completely on the Diaz brothers.
It was, man. I mean, Nate became the star that he was destined to become. He really did. So that's my number 3, Mr. Kamra. What's yours?
Wow. So, in fact, the next fight that I have on my card is, it's not a marquee fight, but it has changed the face of MMA in Canada. It was UFC 129, where GSP was facing off Jake Shields in Canada.
In Toronto, I think. In Toronto, I think.
Absolutely. It was in Toronto. The first event that they've ever had there. And it was the first time where GSP lost one round in his life. The first round he lost was in this particular fight where Jake Shields beat him. Of course, the fight went to GSP, but it's almost like saying that Khabib has never even lost a round.
I remember this fight. I remember Jake Shields being blooding up his eye and nose and stuff. Yes. And we were all shocked. I'm like, can Jake Shields strike?
It was
because everybody is shocked,
Absolutely. So that was the one. It was 129 in the year 2011. Jake Shields versus GSP, the first event in Toronto, Canada.
Oh man! By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is part 1 of the series. There are many of these going to happen because 5 fights do not do justice. 5 main events do not do justice. They cannot. We have not even overlapped here, so that just shows there's so much of content.
Absolutely.
And now moving on to number 2 spot. Let me think. Number 2 would be for me. Oh yes, how can I forget? The Canadian Psycho versus Ruthless Robbie Lawler for the title, which was one of the most insane fights I have ever seen in my life. The main event was Robbie Lawler defending his belt against Rory McDonald, the Canadian Psycho.
I actually believe, was that the main event?
Yes, it was the main event.
Oh my God. Yes.
It was a title fight and it was the main event and it was one of the most iconic events where there was a stare down in the 4th round where Robbie Lawler's lip was cut into 2 pieces. Rory McDonald's face was a canvas that looked like a Jackson Pollock painting.
Right.
And they looked at each other. They spat blood on the ground and those corners.
Right.
And then Robbie comes out in round 5, breaks Rory McDonald's nose and wins the fight.
Oh, you know what? That particular event was UFC 189.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
UFC 189. However, the main event was Conor versus Chad Mendes on that one.
Oh shit. I keep doing co-main events. I don't know why I'm hitting these co-main events.
But let me tell you, in the list that is definitely one of the top fights to have ever cut the bracket across every single segment.
It is
Rory McDonald taking on Robbie Lawler. Oh my
God.
So
I'm forgiven for making this mistake.
Oh
now.
no,
It's
I mean, but that definitely is a main event in any other show.
So, dude, you know, honestly, that Chad Mendes was, again, it was a replacement fight for Conor.
Yes.
And again, it's so many guys have just replaced, and Conor took that chance and won the belt.
Yes.
But it's, you know, people have still speculated back then, had Chad Mendes got a full camp for that fight and came in shape, proper shape. I mean, like in fighting shape.
We never know.
You never know. That could have been the end of the Conor fight.
And that would have been one of your what if moments.
What if? But now that's being set. What are your picks for number 2?
I love that what if moment.
What if is the best?
Well, my next pick is a iconic moment in the world of MMA. It is UFC 205. It was November 2016, which is exactly 23 years after the UFC actually came into formation. It was Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez.
Oh, when he finally became the two division champ.
Absolutely. That particular fight was so iconic for me. It was definitely one of the top main events. Not only did Conor become the 2 division world champ, but it was after a long struggle, MMA finally made their debut in Madison Square Garden.
Oh yes, correct.
It was the first event in Madison Square Garden and first MMA event in Madison Square Garden.
After the New York had so many issues with MMA coming in, and legislation after legislation was passed, and finally they broke through.
Absolutely. So this was that particular event, UFC 205, November 12, 2016. Conor McGregor versus Eddie Alvarez is number 2 on my list of iconic main events.
Well, moving on to the number 1 spot. For me, it's going to be, you know, there's no secrets with my love for Brazil and Anderson Silva, but it's going to be one of the most iconic fights and one of the most nerve-wracking fights that I've ever seen was UFC 117, where Anderson Silva defended his belt against Chael Sonnen.
Oh my
for the first
God.
time. And it was one of the most closest contests in the history of Anderson Silva's career.
Absolutely.
Where he was losing for 4.5 rounds and came back and slapped on a triangle choke to make Chael Sonnen tap in the last 2 minutes of round number 5.
Oh my God.
According to me, that was the most incredible and iconic moment in the history, in pay-per-view history.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The 14-fight win streak was about to come to an end. And, you know, Anderson Silva, being Anderson Silva, the greatest of all time, pulled a rabbit out of his ass. And he literally submitted the man.
That was beautiful.
But heart goes out to Chael, though.
Man.
What a fight he
was
put on.
there. He was so close on beating the greatest of all time. But the greatest of all time is called the greatest of all time because of these reasons. It's never over till it's actually over.
It's never. And by the way, Somesh, I think it's high time we do. We've been talking about this. It's been 39 episodes. I think our 40th episode can be a dedication to one of the legends. We've been planning to do the Legends series.
Yeah.
Let's just do that, man.
Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
We got to do it. But I was hoping we can get into the studio because we're going to be joining the IVM studios very soon.
Absolutely.
So if we can hopefully do it from there.
If you guys haven't watched it, please check out ivmpodcast.com on Instagram and check out the video of their absolutely new swanky studio that we'll be in.
Swanky banging studio, and we're going to be there. Apparently, it's near Car Social.
Yeah. Shout out to Riaz Amlani right there.
Mr. Riaz Amlani, we are coming.
In case he wants to open like a small little IVM social somewhere inside IVM, we'll partner with you.
IVM Social hi bana do na. IVM Social is great.
Yeah.
Dude. Let's make it. Yeah, IVM Social.
Well, speaking of social, the number 1 pick on my list, I feel the most iconic event where UFC really went all guns blazing with their promotions, with their advertisements, with their tours was UFC 194 in 2015 between Jose Aldo and Conor McGregor.
Oh, of course. How could I forget? I knew this was. I think the PR machine was at work for 2 years.
Yes.
And how many countries did they tour?
6 countries.
They toured 6 countries. The fight fell off 2 times in the past and finally came into fruition UFC 194 in 2015. Of course, it did not end the way that we wanted to. Some of them, yes, we wanted a longer contest. But man, it just took 14 seconds for Conor McGregor to knock Jose Aldo out cold. 10 years undefeated champion. Featherweight, boom, boom, boom. But man, that was such...
No, I'm not listening to this anymore.
That was such an iconic
I am
moment.
not, boss. Iconic. Very good. Very iconic for you.
No,
iconic hoga tere ghar mein.
But, when we...
Sorry, guys. I'm a little hurt about this.
But, when we speak of iconic fights, it's to do with the entire hype, the amount of people tuning in, the pay-per-views, the actual contest, what goes behind the curtains, all of that. So this, for me, was number 1, UFC 194, Conor McGregor versus Jose Aldo.
That's a great one. But, if you're going to start measuring it by those standards, then I think I'm not going to do an honorable mentions because there are too many honorable mentions.
Absolutely.
But we are certainly going to come back in the next month with the second part.
Yes.
I mean, we've not even scratched the surface when it comes to Chuck Liddell, GSP, guys like Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
In terms of pay-per-view hype and buys. So we'll get back to that another day.
Yes, we will.
We'll get back to that another day.
But
there's a lot to talk about though.
But still, having said that, those were our top 5 picks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to make your top 5 picks and win some exciting Fighting Goat merchandise, please tag us, hashtag us with your top picks and get us on the fightinggoat.com. However, Chips, what are your handles to tag?
All right, here we go. So if you want to tag me, it's at Arjun Chips on Instagram and at Mystic Chips on Twitter. So don't forget to firstly tag us, hashtag us for all our cool merchandise. Today I'm not wearing the t-shirt, but agle baar pehnunga.
Well, even I'm not wearing it because we only got one t-shirt each and it needs to go for a wash. They're very expensive merchandise. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want the merchandise, you need to tag us, hashtag us, make your picks, tell us which your top 5 fights are. Even if any of them match, one lucky winner would get an exciting Fighting Goat t-shirt.
Yeah.
Speaking of Fighting Goat t-shirts, we're going to speak about some crazy Fighting Goats, not this week, but the following week, which is December 5th, where Jose Aldo takes on Rob Font. More on the other side of the Fighting Goat after this short commercial break.
Have you ever wondered where the business world is headed? How the ways in which we create, market, and sell to consumers will evolve? Or if we'll ever go back to wearing pants while working? For answers to all of this and more, tune into Advertising is Dead with me, Varun Dugirala. Every Tuesday, as I talk to entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers from across business, media, marketing, and beyond. You can catch all episodes of Advertising is Dead on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from.
Welcome back to the Fighting Goat. You're listening to Arjun aka Mystic Chips and Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra. We just had an amazing episode where we discussed our top 5 pay-per-views, iconic headliners actually in the world of the UFC. But of course, this is just part 1, iconic headliners part 1. We've got a lot more iconic headliners coming because we've not even begun to scratch the surface. We've got headliners that we can talk about in Pride, headliners from Strikeforce, headliners from WEC, where Jose Aldo ripped up a storm. And speaking of ripping up a storm, we've got a great pay-per-view between Jose Aldo and Rob Font coming up.
Oh my God, that's such a good
again
fight night.
In bantamweight.
Oh yes,
right, no, again at bantamweight. Again
yes,
at bantamweight.
This is such a crazy fight card because we also have Luis Smolka who's on the fight card, and we have Clay Guida, the madman who's on the card.
I just swear to God, I don't know what it's going to take to stop Guida. Guida's just going to fight till he's 80, and he's been looking like that since he's 20.
Yeah.
Since he was 20 years old, he's been looked the same. The time when he graduated, I think he finished the Ultimate Fighter and faced off against Diego Sanchez.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looked the same since then.
Absolutely. So
skill-wise, much better.
Yeah. So basically, he's a Sanat Jayasuriya of MMA.
Sanat Jayasuriya,
who just never retired.
Yeah, he just never retired and he never aged. Same face.
Absolutely, yes. But ladies and
Hang on,
gentlemen,
if he's the Jesuit, there's Rana Tunge is the DC or is DC the Rana Tunge? They kind of have similar.
Absolutely,
I mean, DC. I love him. He's an Olympian. He's a great two division champion, and he's looking happy now. He's just looking. India में बोलते ना, अरे खुशी से अभी खाते पीते खुश रहे.
It's so funny because when DC comes into the octagon to take the post-fight interview, he's just so big now. The suits are not fitting him anymore.
Suits are getting bigger, dude. He's got a new tailor, bigger suit. What am I saying, man? My new suit also is much bigger now.
But having said that, what is not big is the bantamweight division, which is 135 pounds, 61 kgs. We have two absolute maniacs in Rob Font and Jose Aldo that are going to contest in the main event of the evening. It's on December 5th. We have 1 week off. So ladies and gentlemen, please relax, ease out, chill, and be ready for the December fight card. Tips, man. Rob Font and Jose Aldo.
I mean, if you look
legend
at that,
and upcoming talent,
Rob Font is a nasty beast of a fighter.
Yes, he
by
is.
The way. And he's going to be taking on one of the greatest featherweights.
Yes,
according to me, before he dropped down to bantamweight, and then he's making his mark. I mean, we saw Aldo's last fight against Marlon Moraes.
Yes,
he fought against Pedro Munoz, and he put on a clinic against Pedro Munoz.
We saw some
those body shots. Boxing.
Those body shots are becoming ruthless.
I'm telling you, he's been working with the Brazilian national boxing team.
Right.
And you can see the differences he's made in his technique.
Correct.
The way he's moving. He's not firing off those leg kicks and he's waiting. Guys like Aldo, they don't have something called, peppering shots. Either he hits you at 150 or he doesn't hit you.
Yes.
It's just something like that. So, of course, that strategy comes with, the give and take of a gas tank. You have to really weigh out your cardio has to be on point.
Yes.
So what I liked against that Pedro Munoz fight is he didn't turn up the heat till the third. He picked his shots in the first and second, and then the third, bang, he started battering.
But that's what we call championship experience. Where these gentlemen come in, they study their opponent, they know, maybe 3 rounds, I have to kind of just play it out. But round 4 and 5, oh my God, what went on? It was like he was on some stuff and like his gas tank started and he just went crazy. Just went crazy there.
Exactly. Absolutely, my friend. I mean, if you look at the entire fight, how it went, it looked like a much more evolved Aldo.
Absolutely.
And now I'm going to quickly just take you through that entire ranking. When we kept repeating today that bantamweight division is one of the deepest. Okay, just to give you an idea, Peter Yan is the number 1 contender. Aljamain Sterling is the champion. TJ Dillashaw number 2. Corey Sandhagen number 3. Rob Font number 4. Number 5, Jose Aldo. Merab Dvalishvili at number 6. Cody Garbrandt at 7. Pedro Munoz 8. Marlon Moraes 9. Dominic Cruz at 10.
Oh
Marlon
my God.
Vieira 11. Rafael Assunção at 12. Frankie Edgar 13. Song Yedong 14. Cody Stamann 15. And guys like your favorite Sugar Sean O'Malley are not even top 15 in this division.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Having said that, I would love to see Song Dong versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. I think it's a great matchup.
I would see
that's a great matchup. But yeah, man.
If it was up to you, you would love to see Chito Vera keep fighting.
Well, if it was up to me, I would put in Peter Yan and Sugar Sean O'Malley straight charity match. And this is going to happen in the White House, Washington DC. With full army and guns ones and all. Dude,
actually, you mean like Bloodsport?
Dude,
nobody leaves alive. It's to the death.
Do it for the forces.
Do it for the forces. Anything for the forces.
Absolutely.
What you mean is Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Where Jean-Claude Van Damme fought till the death.
Yeah.
Like you have to kill the opponent. Is that what you want? You want Peter Yan to do that? I am such a nikal gaye. I know you couldn't keep it for too long.
I swear, seriously. But Chips, let's get into the prediction game. We've got in the bantamweight main event of the evening. Rank number 4, Rob Font taking on rank number 5, Jose Aldo.
It's a good fight, because this will, the winner of this fight moves a lot closer to that belt.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter Yan right now is, we're just waiting for Aljamain Sterling.
Yeah.
TJ Dillashaw is in surgery. Sandhagen has now fought twice and lost twice back to back against TJ Dillashaw and now Peter Yan.
Yeah.
So he's not getting a shot at that title belt anytime soon.
Correct.
He's not. And that's the honest truth. For a year and a half, he's not going to get any.
But they were very interesting fights. He put up
and
a
he's
show.
lost to the current champion as well. That's the thing.
Yes,
he's lost to Aljamain Sterling. He's the only one that's been finished by Aljamain.
Right.
Aljamain is the only one who has finished Cody
Sandhagen. Correct.
So that's the thing. So that entire title picture now becomes very interesting because now 4 and 5, even though when Peter Yan was champ, Aldo, that was the inaugural belt title, which was in the bantamweight division, where it was Aldo versus Yan, and Yan beat Aldo to become the champ. I think a win will take this a lot closer now. I think a win should get them immediate. Maybe the winner can take on TJ Dillashaw, who comes back from surgery,
right?
Or I don't know. It's a very it's right now anybody can jump in from anywhere. Chito Vera knocked out Frankie Edgar with a front kick to the face 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I would love to see. Wouldn't you love to see Chito Vera versus Sandhagen?
I would love to see it, but I think the ranking is
too early. But
the ranking is quite far apart. And Sandhagen has improved so drastically. He's lost twice, but he's gained immense experience in those 2 fights. I think he's a different animal altogether at the moment.
I mean, he took every shot from Peter Yan, and he was. He stood there somehow. His conditioning was so good. He was in such great shape. But then also you realize that there was such a big size difference between Yan and Sandhagen.
Yes,
and a lot of Yan's counters were just out of range because that's how Sandhagen moves.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking, like, we got somebody like Chito Vera who is he's also a big bantamweight. He's big and he probably might reach him. And that's just intriguing. It's an intriguing matchup.
So what's your pick?
As of now, Rob Font versus Aldo. Well, I'm biased too. Aldo. Always. But honestly, in a 3-round fight, I will always pick Aldo because after the 3rd round, Aldo tends to gas. The same thing happened with Peter Yan. The first 2 rounds, Aldo was winning.
Mm-hmm.
It's the 4th round where Aldo gassed badly.
But do you think, looking at Aldo's last fight, do you think he's become a little smarter and he's channelizing his gas tank?
I think he's, especially in the 3-round fights, he knows when to turn it up now.
But this is a 5-round fight, so...
Oh, yes, I forgot.
It's a main event. So,
oh, yes, I forgot. I completely forgot.
Does that change your prediction?
No, it's still Aldo. I think Aldo is smarter, and I think it's going to go to a decision.
Very interesting. Well, Mystic Chips has chosen his favorite, the Brazilian national Jose Aldo. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to go with Mystic Chips on this. I think Jose Aldo is a smarter, better, crisper fighter. I think he's going to channelize his energy unless and until Rob Font finishes him within 2 rounds. Having said that,
which is difficult.
Having said that, I think Jose Aldo takes the decision. We will see on December 5th when this particular main card goes down only on Sony 10.1 and Sony 10.3. For more action on ivmpodcast.com, check out all their other shows. But before checking that out, please check out the Fighting Goat. Hear us, enjoy us. Don't forget, because we've had a great episode this week, and also last week was a banger with Ken Pavia. So if you haven't heard that, please tune in. We are on episode 3939 of the Fighting Goat. See you guys next time, same place, only on the Fighting Goat.
Don't you think that if everyone around you is getting smart, you better be smarter? Hey there, I'm the traveling professor Siddharth Deshmukh, and I'm back with season 2 of my podcast to make you smarter. Smarter with Sid. What's this season's focus about? Well, it's about 10-minute nuggets that will make you stand out at work. It's time to go from smart to smarter. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday and become smarter with Sid.
सफर, रास्ते, मंजिल और मुकाम अक्सर ये हमसे कुछ कहना चाहते हैं, पर हम हैं कि अपनी रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में इन्हें सुनने से कतराते हैं। नमस्ते दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है केशव चतुर्वेदी और मैं आपको ले चलूंगा कुछ ऐसे सफर पर जहां आपको एक नया नजरिया मिलेगा सफर और मंजिलों को देखने का। आइए इन किस्से कहानियों में डूब जाएं। हर मंगलवार और शुक्रवार